Lac Sports Network proudly presents the CAA Game of the Week. Today, live from Sherwood Stadium on the campus of Hofstra University, the 9th-ranked team in the country, the North Carolina Tar Heels, visit the Hofstra Pride. Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome to Sherwood Stadium. Matt Shortis along with Mitch Belisle as we get ready to face off this third straight meeting between Hofstra and North Carolina. And there you see Jack Kincannon. He's started now all three of those. The Tuarton watch list candidate, 1-2 on the season, but a tremendous goals against average and a tremendous save percentage as well. North Carolina has juggled around their goalies a little bit, but Jack Pizzula has started 5 of the 7 games that North Carolina has played. Here under 10 goals against on the season. So we're ready to go. It's North Carolina and the pride of Hofstra University is North Carolina in the Tar Heel blue and Hofstra in the home white uniforms with dark blue numbering and lettering. An infraction against Hofstra to begin. So Charles Kelly gets the face-off for North Carolina, and they begin left to right today.
And Matt, face-offs have been a huge part of the college game so far this year. Neither team holding a massive advantage, so it'll be interesting to see. They're definitely going to have to scrap for every possession at the X today.
North Carolina coming off their first loss of the season to Denver. They're 6-1. They've played 4 one-goal games, 4-0 record in those one-goal games. And they go to work offensively. Here's Chris Cloutier, who scored in 27 consecutive games for North Carolina. Up top of the midfield, a very young midfield. Justin Anderson is there. Now back to Cloutier. Cloutier with the pole matchup on him. He feeds goal line extended, and they continue to work it around. Matthews, 3 goals on the season. Good ball movement by the Tar Heels. Quick shot blocked before it could get to Kincannon. And Kincannon's closest forward. It'll be Hofstra ball.
And the Hofstra sideline fired up. Anytime you get a block or a knockdown shot, that feels good defensively. You like to see that. You know that the defense starts feeling that confidence, and your goalie gets fired up, getting them into the right spots. So good start for the Hofstra defense already.
And you know they've been itching to get out there. They've not played in over a week. Their game last Saturday that was scheduled against Georgetown ended up having to be postponed because of all the wind we had.
Georgetown actually stuck on a bus overnight on I-80, so good to hear they made it safely back to campus. But obviously the Hofstra pride excited to see someone in a different color uniform. Coach Tierney talking about they scrimmaged that day and how well his players have handled that so far.
Yeah, I think he had one of the better lines. He said nobody becomes a Division I lacrosse player so they could practice.
I like that as well.
So Hofstra goes to work offensively for the first time. They've been a little short-handed throughout this year. 4 of their top 6 midfielders have been banged up throughout the season. They really have their first group midfield together for the first time today. Kavanaugh, who was a question mark coming into today, he's playing. And now it's held up by Giannis. Straight away, this is Dylan Alderman. Alderman named to the Tuarton watch list as well, along with Jack Kincannon for Hofstra. Here's Kavanaugh now, only played in 1 game. Kavanaugh's pass to the crease, knocked down, and it's scooped up by Cam Macri of North Carolina.
And Alderman missed that one. You saw the first possession that North Carolina had. They really were crisp with their ball movement. Didn't end up with a great, their shot ended up getting blocked, but really crisp ball movement. Hofstra a little sloppy. You got to expect that after 9 or 10 days of not playing. So hopefully they'll get into that groove offensively, but Carolina looks crisp, and this is showing why it's so important to have those extra games and how big of a difference playing 7 games versus 3 games is making in the early parts of this game.
Yeah, on the other side of that coin, North Carolina had 4 games in the span of a week.
Something that could come back to bite them at the end of the game. We'll see how their conditioning handles this athletic defense on Hofstra.
Here's Cloutier. He'll dump it off for Alex Trippi, the freshman out of Great Falls, Virginia. Trippi looking right on the crease. Shot saved by Kincannon.
Great save by Kincannon. Nice off-ball cut there. See Cloutier being covered by a short stick, so giving a little bit of a different look there.
So they've not gotten the result they wanted, but North Carolina's offense looks pretty in sync to start this game.
Certainly have made the looks they want. Huge save there, one-on-one on the doorstep with Kincannon, and a blocked shot by their defense. So nothing to panic for Hofstra, but those are the looks that UNC wants to get early. They are going to have to beat Kincannon early if they want to have success today. He's one of the top goalies. Both coaches mentioned how he's one of the top goalies in the country, and if they want to have success, they're going to have to find a way to put the ball past him.
Mitch, let's take a look at your keys for today.
Yeah, as I mentioned, getting to Kincannon early, that's going to be key for North Carolina. They've played well for the last 7 games, but at the same time, they have to be able to get to this All-American goalie. And then Hofstra, they want to start fast. Like we talked about, this long delay. They haven't had an opportunity to see another jersey. So can they shake the rust off, get a couple quick goals, and get their offense moving like it was against Stony Brook a few weeks ago?
Their highest scoring output against Stony Brook of the season, that coming off a 2-goal performance against Villanova earlier in the week. Here's a shot just whizzing by the top right corner off the stick of Dylan Alderman.
Alderman just using speed to beat his man, and we saw these players shooting early in warm-ups and they were staying corners, so that's one that just missed wide.
Change up the midfield line a little bit. Here's the freshman Dom Pryor, the reigning CAA Rookie of the Week. He had a pair of goals and an assist last week against Stony Brook. Now Kavanaugh, who changed the numbers from last year to this year, wore the number 27, special number for Hofstra in honor of Nick Calalori. But only 1 year per player with that number. Here's Tierney, one-handed, trying to move inside, falling down, and going down low for the save was Pazula. But Tierney, some good strength even just to get that shot off.
Yeah, huge save there. Tierney, it was a great check by the North Carolina defenseman. Coach Tierney talked about how long they are, and that was an example of that long 6 foot.
Good ride here. Eric Wentz creating a turnover, and Hofstra's back to offense.
Yeah, so Coach Tierney talking about that length. Great check on Ryan Tierney as he got through the middle, but somehow still had the ball, realized it took the extra step to the middle, and great job by Pazula staying on that ball and tracking it down, and nice job at the midfield riding it and putting a lot of pressure on North Carolina as they cleared there. Both teams clearing in the high 90%. Neither team makes a lot of mistakes in the clearing games. That's a big win for Hofstra to get that ball back on offense here.
And you and I, pregame, we were talking a bit more about North Carolina's ride. They've been showing a lot of 10-man ride lately.
They have. It'll be interesting to see if they go into that against this vaunted Hofstra defense.
Here's Kavanaugh inverted at X. Giannis will fire one on. Pazula comes up with another stop. North Carolina's got an early beat on this. Scooped up by Justin Anderson. And then the Tar Heels will try and clear. We've played 6.5 minutes. No score in the opening quarter between North Carolina and Hofstra. Flag down. Looked like Hofstra had gone off sides. So delayed penalty coming up.
Hofstra, successful man-down unit right so far. Have only given up 4 goals and 21 opportunities, so they'll get a chance to flex those muscles in a few minutes here as Carolina looks to capitalize before that opportunity arises.
Here's Andy Matthews, 18 points on the season, 15 of those coming from an assist. Tanner Cook now, goal line extended, it comes for Timmy Kelly. Here's Kelly with a short stick. Ellis working on him. Now Cook's got it one more time. Cooks tries to dip inside. Chased away. Scoots it back out to Cloutier. North Carolina being very patient with the delayed penalty coming up. Top of the box, swim move from Kelly. Kelly fires wide, and it goes out of bounds, but North Carolina will go on the man advantage.
Here's that save by Pazula on Tierney coming through the middle. Stays low. You got to change your planes for all players, young players that want to aspire to play at a high level. Both inside looks, right? That was a tough one because Tierney was falling down, but both inside looks that teams have had, they stayed on the same plane. Goalies matched that stick and were able to stay with it. So change that plane again. With Ryan Tierney falling down, a little bit tougher to do that, but great effort for him getting in the middle, taking that extra step and trying to wrap that around the goalie.
Both goalies off to hot starts so far in this one. Pazula with a couple saves, has his Kincannon both in tight as well. So Minuteman advantage for North Carolina on a slashing call. Here's Cloutier straight up top, coming off his 100th career goal recently. Cook trying to sneak in backdoor. Good help defense, a shot sliding wide, and now a chase forward, and it's going to be Hofstra ball.
Wow.
Don Pryor had a step.
And that was a close race. The UNC player dove for it. Typically, the ref gives that to the diver almost every time. I've made that a point in my career. If you dive, 90% of the time, that ref is going to give it to you. But saw Don Pryor as the closer player in that situation and award it to Hofstra. That's a huge stop. Now they'll run out the rest of this penalty and get another look at offense.
Just 10 seconds remain on the man advantage. So how about the defense we've seen from both sides already through this first half point of the first quarter?
Both goalies stepping up to the task, but like you said, the defense is making it easy for them. Two good looks, one for each team. But I'd say for the most part, the defense has held them to outside shots or opportunities that just aren't the exact look that they're looking for early in a game.
Giannis will bring it back up top. And Hofstra's not gone too deep into the midfield as of yet. Alderman on a run. Alderman will slide it over to Tierney. He was ready to load, but the ball dropped out of his stick. He recovers, though. Tierney being bothered by Ryan Macri, a redshirt senior. Here's a shot on a dodge. Alex Moser puts Hofstra on the board.
Moser with a beautiful alley dodge. He gets to that spot where it's so difficult to decide as a defense. Do you slide to that, or do you take your chances? He shoots it short side. We'll get a look at the replay here. Gets into his man, uses his body to create that separation. Hands back, keeps it high, and beats Pizzola short side. That's just a good, hard north-south dodge. That's what you teach when you're teaching middies. Drive your body into your defenseman, get your hands up and away, and take a shot and pick a spot. He did exactly that. He was able to put Hofstra on the board for the first goal of the game.
First goal of the season for Alex Moser last year against North Carolina. He had a pair of goals, including back-to-back goals to break the 8-8 tie late. So something about seeing the Tar Heel powder blue on the other side of the field.
And the energy level has been great from Hofstra. You can see them jumping up and down on the sidelines. I think that's key to get them going after a long delay here.
When you've beat a team back-to-back years and you're facing them for a third consecutive year, do you feel like you've had their number? Is there something mentally that kind of gives you a little bit of an edge there?
Absolutely, and it's hard because the team changes every year in college and you get new players, but there is certainly, at least personally for me, a mental edge about fields and about teams that you feel like you have their number.
So Hofstra with the lead and the ball now. Alderman on the drive and a save made by Pizzola.
Big save there by Pizzola. Alderman driving to his left hand. Similar type dodge as the one that Moser just took, but isn't able to capitalize.
Here comes William McBride on slid too, but he lets it go wide.
McBride making a few huge plays down the stretch against St. John's. Not afraid to take it to the rack there and stay and play some offense.
Tremendous defensive presence. He's got 7 caused turnovers in the 7 games so far for North Carolina.
Now we'll see him sub off and get their full offense on as Carolina transfers it around. Having players that can play really great defense but also push the ball in transition, that's huge in the college game and the pro game for that matter.
Here's Cloutier, skips a pass up high to Trippi. And Cloutier, just tremendous size and build of an offensive attack player. 6 foot 227. Those are numbers you might see with a pole in their hand.
Cloutier, Canadian, Hill Academy product. Brody working with Brody Merrill and other players that have starred in college game. Just that box transfer makes such a big difference when you're an attackman. You'll watch today the big face dodge, the fake shot, so many opportunities to get himself open, and then the ability to finish in tight spaces. All those things come from that box play.
Cloutier mishandles it and it goes out of bounds. A turnover. Hofstra will have it.
Unfortunately, passes to the shins. Still hard to catch no matter what sport you're playing, whether it's indoor or outdoor lacrosse.
I mean, you made the transition the other way, coming up through the outdoor game and then going to play indoor.
Certainly a lot easier on the defensive side. Offensive players understanding that touch, finding space is much trickier, but the players we've seen, that explosion of Canadians coming in and dominating the NCAA game, and it's exciting to watch. They're creative, they have opportunities to get to the goal that you haven't seen before, and it's a lot of fun to watch. You look at guys like Connor Fields and Tehoka Nanticoke, just highlight reel shots, even when they're not scoring in the game last week against UMass.
Hofstra had their guy in Josh Byrne graduating last year. Made an instant impact on the MLL game.
And he's been tearing it up for the Buffalo Bandits in the NLL this year. Sure, Bayhawks are excited for him to finish that season and come back to them.
Hofstra with a 1-0 lead, 3 minutes to play in this first quarter. As Alderman on the dodge. Alderman up top for Pryor. Pryor tied up, shovels a pass back. It comes for Alderman. Alderman's got a step now. He's driving on the alley. Shot going wide. Giannis was trying to be there. And it's going to be North Carolina ball.
And Alderman has really been using that speed and a sweep dodge to try to get his hands free. That time, he swept to his right, had a great look, shot wide. It's one of those where the goalie gets a piece of it. The attackman is back there to back it up, but tries to catch the rebound. And unfortunately for him, it goes too fast, and he loses possession there. But good take there.
Here's Anderson going low. Kincannon with a 5-hole save. Outlets ahead quickly. Here comes Hofstra in transition. Now they'll settle it down. Kavanaugh will step into the box. Kavanaugh finding Lynch. Lynch tries to get it away as he goes down. Flag coming up and a delayed penalty on North Carolina.
Kincannon, great outlet there, but I think there was that shot. The UNC shot took place so quickly, they were still subbing through the midline, so the Hofstra attack wasn't ready for that transition, and they ended up pulling out. With that said, they still got a trailer through the play, and now they're going to end up with a man up after he was hauled down by one of this big UNC defenseman.
So North Carolina 0 for 1 on the man advantage. Here's a quick shot, the save by Kincannon.
Here we see driving down the alley, defense swarming to the ball, and Kincannon tracks that the whole way. Again, that high to low. Kincannon using that big frame of his to get in front of it, trapping that ball at the ground, and then outletting it right away. Young goalies, that's what you want to do. You want to stay big, stop the ball, and then immediately look upfield.
I mean, that wasn't an easy save. Kincannon was being screened. I think it was Puckhaber right in front of him, his own guy.
I don't know if Puckhaber got a piece of that ball, but either way, there was a lot of white in front of that shot.
30-second penalty against North Carolina. Here's Hofstra trying the hidden ball trick, catch and fire. That one never quite settled down in the stick of Kopecky, and North Carolina's got it.
And that's probably the third or fourth.
Ball knocked away by Hofstra, a ground ball. The Pride will have it, at least at first glance. And now in traffic, North Carolina comes away with it. Ground ball for Macri, and he'll step into the box and settle it in.
And Matt, that was probably the third or fourth open look that Hofstra has had where they haven't been able to handle it. Their players are ready to go. They're in shooting position, and the ball either tips out of their stick or they just don't catch it cleanly. So I think that's the shaking the rust off. Luckily, they've been able to take the lead here, but those are the kind of conversions that you need to make. Especially those are going to matter so much down the line. So if they're able to get back on the same page and convert on those, that's going to be huge as they continue down the road.
Well, Kincannon was trying to keep it from going out. He stepped on the end line. So it'll be North Carolina ball with 48 seconds to play.
Ran into Puckhaven there. They're both going for the ball. Good communication on the scoop, but then ran into each other on the end line, and Kincannon was forced out of bounds there.
Yeah, I think he thought he had tipped that pass, so if it had gone out of bounds, it would have been North Carolina ball anyway. So Cloutier looks like he's going to hold, and North Carolina will hold for the final shot, or not. Cloutier lets it fly, hits a defender. Hofstra's got it going the other way. Outlet pass ahead for Ellis. Ellis over the timeline. Ellis moving quickly, 19 seconds left. Ellis tied up, ball knocked loose, and North Carolina's got it on the doorstep. Scooped up by Ryan Macri, and then Macri turns it over. Skip pass overhead to Ellis. Ellis from his knees lets one go out of bounds with 6.4 seconds left. Here's Giannis trying to move it in quickly. Giannis sticking the right hand. Giannis, 2 seconds. Giannis will fall down and not get a shot off. So some scurried play in that last minute of play.
Ellis, probably not what you want to see with 15 seconds left as your D-Midi running down trying to take on 3 UNC defensemen, but did a nice job of staying in the play, had a look late, and took a great shot that was saved.
So after 1 quarter of play, Hofstra's on top in a low-scoring game, 1-0. We'll be back in a moment. We're underway to begin the second quarter. Hofstra's got the quick face-off, a shot wide. Giannis is there backing up, so Hofstra has won 2 of our 3 face-offs in the early going here, Mitch.
Yeah, in that first quarter, both teams 1 for 2 on the face-off. We said that would be an area where probably could flip a coin and determine who's going to win that. They're going to have to battle for the ground balls. And then offensively, both teams looking good, getting good looks. The first half, UNC had a couple great looks, and then the second part of that quarter, I felt like it was all Hofstra, but they weren't able to convert on a couple. So both teams locking it down defensively, and that first quarter flew by with only 1 goal.
That's something that Seth Tierney talked to us about, especially in regards to that Villanova game, where he felt like they had a lot of opportunities, but they weren't on target on cage.
Yeah, and they haven't been able to actually catch the ball, so that's hard to get shots on cage if you don't have the ball in your stick before you shoot it. So look for them this quarter to take a little bit more time to catch the ball and then take that shot.
Here's Kavanaugh looking right on the crease. The ball deflected as it was getting to the net off the stick of McIntosh.
Dylan McIntosh, great look there. Nice job. Again, Coach Tierney talking about the length. That was just a long poke check from a 6'4" defenseman. Ball never even got to the net as it was deflected away.
That's one thing North Carolina's got is tremendous size at the close defense. Everybody over 6 feet, everybody over 200 pounds.
And they're using that size right now as they go into a bit of a zone here.
Here's a shot up high, rung through by Alex Moser. So 2 goals today, both belong to number 22 in white, and Hofstra leads 2-0.
Absolute laser to the top corner. You brought up Mosier scoring the first 2 goals last time these 2 teams played, and here he is again. Just sets his feet. These are the plays that they need to make. This feet set, ready to go, catch it. He takes 1 cradle, make sure that ball's in his stick, and then that's just a shooter's shot. Far corner, beats the goalie with speed. Good ball movement all around, and they beat that Carolina zone. I'll be very curious to see if UNC goes back into the zone here. They ran it a little bit towards the end of the game against Denver, and I'll be curious to see if they want to keep that now that they've given up 2 goals. 1 as they played man-on-man, and 1 as they played in that zone.
Joe Bresci, the Tar Heels head coach, said one of the reasons he switched to that zone defense was because he felt like he had some tired legs out there. Wonder if that's what he saw through the first quarter. Here's a face-off win for Gallagher. Bounces one by Pazzulli. And Hofstra is leading 3-0 now.
Great job by Gallagher, driving down, protecting his stick. And now UNC is going to call a timeout to try to regroup and get their boys going. But Hofstra is definitely feeling the momentum, and they're letting each other know that they're excited about what's going on the field.
Kyle Gallagher, CAA all-rookie team a year ago, struggled a little bit against Villanova, and that was one of the reasons that they only scored 2 goals against the Wildcats, but a clean face-off win, and he took it right to the rack.
Yeah, not anything spectacular, just using speed, protecting his stick well, and like you said, took it right to the rack, hard bouncer right before the goalie's able to step to it. Does a nice job, and you can see Coach Tierney trying to tell his team, hey, let's stay excited, but even keeled. You never want to get too high, and you never want to get too low in these games. Sometimes that emotional roller coaster, if you ride it too high, you come to a crash as the team starts coming back. So keeping his boys ready to go, in control, but they want to maintain that level of energy.
Seth Tierney in his 12th season with the Hofstra Pride. They've reached the NCAA tournament 4 times under his guidance. And this year, getting off to a much slower start than they did a year ago, where they were 11-0. They were the number 2 team in the country, and they sputtered out towards the end, ended up missing the NCAA tournament. And with some of the injuries they've had this year, they've started out slow. We were talking to Coach Tierney, saying, are you wondering, are you hoping that maybe this is the inverse of last year, and you take a look at what they've done against North Carolina the last couple of years. That's one area where they haven't started slowly.
And maybe this is exactly what the doctor ordered after a slow start, is a game against Carolina where they've always seemed to have success, at least recently. And like you said, Coach Tierney, I don't think he has any reason to worry here, because like you mentioned, their season last year so successful, but they still missed the playoffs. So really, in this game these days, in the NCAA game, it's so important that you either win your conference or that you win these big games. That's what goes into making the playoffs. So you can have a 12-3 season. If you don't make the playoffs, that no one's happy. So starting 1-2, no need to panic. They're going to get their injured players back and healthy. If they can start finding their groove, get a couple big wins under their belt, that's going to bode well for the postseason, which every coach will tell you that's what they're fighting for throughout the entire season.
Gallagher back to the face-off X along with Charles Kelly. And another face-off win for Gallagher and Hofstra.
Gallagher's been dominant this quarter, and mentioned the coin flip being the difference. This actually could be a big piece of this game if Gallagher's able to continue this dominance.
They're having a little trouble handling the loose ball on a pass to Griffin. Hofstra's got to get it into the box real quick, and finally they were able to settle it down. I think when you look at Hofstra's schedule so far in the early going, week 1, 2-goal loss to Ohio State, say, all right, close game against a top-ranked opponent, but it was the scoring only 2 goals against Villanova that kind of raised some eyebrows and saying, hey, what's going on there?
And talking to Coach Tierney, he definitely felt like the injuries were a big piece of that.
Here's Giannis, tough angle shot, gets hammered after he lets it go, and a flag comes down.
Huge hit as Giannis took that shot. He was running full speed upfield, so any little hit, you're going to go flying after that one. But
Jack Rowlett, a junior, preseason All-ACC. He's going to go to the box.
I'll be interested to see this replay because I thought Giannis made a nice speed dodge up the alley, tried to take that shot off his back foot as he spun around and got topside, and was hit hard by Rowlett. I don't know if it was...
Looked like we got 2 penalties on that. No, I'm incorrect.
Here we'll see. Maybe they may have locked him in. See Giannis run upfield. Yeah, and that was definitely late. So I think, that was probably shoulder to shoulder, but it was definitely after the ball had been released. And so refs are certainly trying to take that element out of the game, keep these players safe, make sure any hits that are happening are between the whistles.
For a second, it looked like Timmy Kelly was also staying in the box, but it's 6-on-5. Hofstra 0 for 1 on the man advantage today. And already 20 seconds gone on this penalty. Hofstra passing up top. Kopecky in as the 4th attacker. A shot snared down by Pizzula.
And that was Mosier taking a similar shot to the one he scored on, but didn't have nearly enough heat on it. And the goalie tracked that the whole way. The pass had come from the adjacent man instead of a long skip from closer to the middle of the field. So Pizzula was ready to track that the entire way and stayed with him as the ball stayed high there.
Jake Peenan, a long stick defender. He carries the ball upfield and gets it in to offensive territory for North Carolina. So the Tar Heels have started out this game. They're still looking for their first goal as we approach 4 minutes elapsed in the second quarter.
And this is the first time they've gotten the ball in this half of the field. So they definitely want to make sure that they get a quality look instead of just rushing to get to the goal and get everyone a touch on their offense so they start to get into that rhythm and that flow.
Penalty has ended, so we're back to 6-on-6. Here's William Perry. Perry, a young midfielder. His pass deflected, popped up into the air. It's snared down by Hofstra. Here's Brett Osman, and he finds Concannon.
Perry with a nice dodge. His defender fell down. He rolled back and tried to shoot right out of that roll. But great job by Hofstra defense getting into those shooting lanes. That hit off of Hofstra, I believe, his back and shot straight up into the air.
There's Liam Blom with a little shimmy. Gets some oohs and ahs from the Hofstra bench as he brings the ball over. Blom has battled injuries throughout his Hofstra career after transferring from Ohio State.
Anytime you have a defenseman shake a midi, you're going to get a good reaction from your teammates.
You have any of those moves?
Absolutely not. I'm a straight north-south guy. I don't find myself in the offensive end very often, Matt.
So 5 minutes elapsed in this second quarter. Hofstra a 3-0 lead. 2 goals by Moser and a goal by Gallagher as well. This is Alex Moser. Moser feeding left side. Tierney drops the angle and sends one home from the top of the box.
Great placement by Ryan Tierney on that shot. As he wound up to take that, I thought, I don't know if that's a good shot for him, but excellent placement. Pulls that across his body and brings it to the far corner. Goalie was there, goalie was tracking it, and you know what? I think he might have used his defender as a screen there. You see on that shot, he shot that right around his defender's back, and I don't know if Pizzula ever saw it. His defender comes out, Pizzula isn't able to really track it, tries to step and kick it, and when you place it in that corner, that's a great shooter's shot. Pizzula never saw it, that's a goal.
Ryan Tierney, the reigning CAA Player of the Week, coming off a career-high 7 points. His 8th goal of the season. Gallagher wins it, kicks it to himself, and scoops it up off the carpet as well.
And this, we talked about keys to the game. Hofstra getting a hot start, and first quarter they were still a little shaky, but they were getting the looks. This quarter, they've been able to capitalize on those same looks, and it's making a huge difference. You can feel the confidence from their offense as they're catching every pass. Now they're transferring the ball more crisp, and they're staying in their spots as they rotate through their offense. So the confidence level, just you can feel it and see it from up here in the press box.
And the long layoff, it would be talked about in a couple of different ways depending really on what happened in the game, right? You could say, well, they were rusty, they didn't play for such a long time, or they've had so much time to prepare, they were executing so well because they had so much time to prepare and so much layoff time.
And I think you saw the excitement level to get out and compete was there, and the execution just wasn't, and that's the rust. And they've shaken that off, the excitement has persisted, and they're starting to execute. So what they wanted offensively is starting to happen.
Tierney shooting on the run, wide, but Hofstra's there, plenty of room to back up. Kavanaugh, his first game back after missing a pair. He started at the midfield, but he's really been camping out in the attack area, I guess trying to save his legs a little bit first game back.
Yeah, and it looks like he's a little tentative with the ball in his stick. He's had a couple nice feeds early in the first quarter. Hasn't really tested his defenseman yet. It'll be interesting to see if they use him more as that transfer man or a feeder in his role today.
Here's Alex Moser. Now the freshman McIntosh. Alderman, a left-handed shot wide again.
Alderman, that sweep move has been his go-to today, and has had success getting his hands free, but hasn't been able to find the net with any of his shots yet.
Hofstra has dominated time of possession so far in this second quarter. Giannis, nice little roll dodge, blocked by a defender though, and it's picked up by the Tar Heels. Hofstra with a very strong ride, but scooting on forward for North Carolina is William McBride.
Excellent job there by the defense on Giannis. That's how you want to, you teach your defenseman to roll that player back inside and then send that slide as soon as he rolls. They did a nice job. Giannis wasn't able to get off a shot because there was two Tar Heels defensemen collapsing on him as he went to take that. So great job by the UNC defense.
Only the second possession of this quarter for North Carolina, almost goes out of bounds, and that one is saved. Good job by Brian Cannon just to keep it in, but Hofstra turns him over. Ellis trying to roll around a defender, and he's able to get it over midfield. Hofstra unsettled situation here. Ellis looking right at the pole, and it's knocked away. Good job by Nathan to create the turnover.
Yeah, great job. That's using that 6'3", 6'4" frame to be able to get a nice poke check and knock the ball away. Excellent handle inside by the Hofstra pole there to catch that in tight turn and shoot. That's tough, so good work, but nice job by the Tar Heels defense collapsing and using those long sticks and long bodies to get that ball dislodged before it goes in the back of their net.
It was Puckhaber whose eyes got real big as he received that pass. Cloutier now trying to create some space. Alex Trippy. Roll dodge for Kelly. Kelly's shot saved by Kincannon.
Great save there.
He's been a brick wall so far this afternoon.
And Timmy Kelly, that's the shot you want. He's in the inside, he rolls, gets his hands free, nice jump shot, shoots far side, and Kincannon just beautiful off stick, getting his stick across, using his feet to support that, and making a nice save there.
There's a freshman, Dylan McIntosh, out of Pitt Meadows, British Columbia. They featured him a lot in the fall. We were here for the Nicol Laurie tournament in the fall, and he got some good burn with the first team and starting attacker week 1 of the season.
British Columbia to Hempstead, Long Island. You don't see that commute very often.
From West Coast to East Coast, and we've got a timeout taken by Seth Tierney with 6:10 to play in this first half, and Hofstra's jumped out to a 4-0 lead. And Mitch, we talked about the health of the Pride. They're starting to get a little healthy. We have guys like Kavanaugh and Moser back in the lineup, and you know, no surprise when you have 2 of your first-line midfielders returning to the lineup, it's going to bode well for you offensively.
Absolutely, and it looks like they're starting to feel that confidence, and a big piece of that is getting comfortable with who you're playing with. So that's the double whammy of injuries is when someone's injured, you lose that player who can be a big piece, but you also lose the chemistry of the offense working together, getting comfortable with each other, and understanding that timing. So having those guys start to come back, that's key, and they've had 10 days to practice together which makes a big difference when you go out and try to execute. So getting those guys back, you get the skilled player back, but you also get that chemistry starting to build over the course of the preparation, and now we're seeing it pay dividends as the confidence builds and the offense starts clicking.
Lax Sports Network's High School Game of the Week coverage will return on St. Patrick's Day with the Ohio High School Showcase, featuring 4 of the top teams in the state playing at home of the defending MLL champion Ohio Machine. At 2 Eastern, St. Francis de Sales from Columbus will take on St. Xavier out of Cincinnati. That game will be followed by a matchup between Hilliard-Davidson and Olentangy at 4. Don't miss the Ohio High School Showcase only on LSN.
Quality college players coming out of Ohio with Ohio State with their rise to prominence. Cleveland State adding a team, so exciting to see big things going on in the Machine. I think they're winning the MLL championship, certainly going to help the sport in the state, bring in a little bit more prominence. Recently, high school lacrosse just got sanctioned by the state, so it's exciting to see the game's growth. Today, I don't know that we have any Ohio players on either of these. I guess we have a Loveland player, Tanner Griffin, defenseman from Hofstra's an Ohio guy, but not too many Ohio. A lot of New York here.
That's because Ohio State is doing a great job keeping them in state.
Absolutely, and like you said, Cleveland State now, they have more options locally, which bodes well for that state.
Out of the timeout, Hofstra goes back to work offensively. Moser will feed it up top for Tierney. Tierney has to leap for it, but he's able to recover. Tierney, who at the last Hofstra goal, lets it go again, looking top shelf, but a little high.
It looks like they're running Tierney more out of the midfield. I don't know if he's been coming out of the box. I think he's probably been starting down low and rotating up. We'll have to watch out as this game goes on, but he's definitely been taking some runs from up top.
And that was something Seth Tierney said he might do, especially with Kavanaugh. Tierney played a lot of midfield locally in high school in Massapequa. About 20 minutes away from here. Here's Dylan Alderman with a little shake and shimmy. Alderman has been trying that single man dodge a lot with the ball in his stick.
Rowlett doing a good job there, staying with him, not overcommitting, and as he rolls back, staying right back in his gloves again.
Giannis off a screen, over the shoulder, shot goes in. That little turnaround jump shot. And Jimmy Giannis has his first goal today, and Hofstra is off to a 5-0 start.
Giannis has been pressing that corner all quarter. He's been looking for that look, and here he finally is able to get his hands free as there's a nice pick set right on GLE, takes that jump shot, and just beats Pizzula here. And Matt, I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Bresci looks at making a goalie change here in the future. Not that I don't think Pizzula should have had that one, but you know, I think this is an opportunity, maybe get a new goalie in there, spark the defense, get something else going. So I wouldn't be surprised. We'll keep an eye on that and see if Coach Bresci makes a change here.
Last week, earlier this week, Alex Basile came in the second half against Denver. He made 3 big saves against the Pioneers.
That's the other piece. Coach Bresci not afraid to make that change and feels confident that he has 3 goalies that could start for him. So that's the other piece why I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a new netminder.
The third goalie, Luke Milliken, he did not make the trip here to Hempstead today. So if they were to make a change, it would likely be Basile.
And if it wasn't, I would be very worried.
Kavanaugh in the box inside, 5 minutes to play in this first half, and Hofstra with a 5-0 lead against the Tar Heels. They've beaten North Carolina, a ranked opponent, back-to-back seasons in 2016 and 2017, both of those down in Chapel Hill.
Face-off game providing such a big advantage to Hofstra right now. UNC, the Tar Heels, just haven't had the ball in offense, and the few times they have, they've squandered it away.
There's a nice shimmy, and again going across his body, Alderman finds a corner down low.
Alderman, nice job tucking his stick on that alley dodge, keeping it protected until he gets in front of the cage. Here we see, this is just what you teach your offensive players. Driving and using his body to protect that stick, keeping it high and going from his high up above his shoulder down to low. Here we see great job using that body. Get in front of your defenseman. Once you're in front of him, keep that stick hidden so he can't check it. Bring it back, high to low, place in that far pipe, paint the pipes. That's what we tell kids. So great work there, and the Pride are rolling.
Back-to-back goals for Hofstra. They've scored 2 goals within 59 seconds. And again, we talked about the the face-off domination so far for Hofstra. For Kyle Gallagher, who was a CAA All-Rookie performer last season, going into the fall of his freshman campaign, they didn't even know if he was going to play. His senior year, high school, he was at a graduation party. He in Northport, Long Island, right on the water there. He went to dive into the water at a graduation party and he snapped a vertebrae. He came into, they still honored his scholarship. He came to campus and guys were carrying his books to class on the team because he couldn't hold a backpack. So to go from that to being able to play freshman year and then be all-rookie performer in the way that he's playing today, it's been a long road back for Kyle Gallagher of Hofstra.
Amazing story. You love to hear about that, the perseverance, and I think the trust that Coach Tierney has in his team to lift a player like that up and let him know, hey, you're still part of this team. We're still going to make sure that you have a spot as you earn it back. And he's done an excellent job today of scrapping and working for every loose ball. And he's made the difference, honestly. He's been able to get those possessions that are ending up in the back of the net because the offense is starting to click. But without those possessions, UNC gets a couple more looks. So this is what you want. This is exactly what Coach Tierney wanted, was let's get the ball to our offense. Let's get into that rhythm. Let's start moving it quickly. And the nice part is they're scoring from all different spots. They're scoring different ways. Turnaround jumpers like you brought up before, outside shots, skip passes, everything you want to do, different looks. It's making it tough for the UNC Tar Heels to defend.
So again, out there is Riley Graham, and Graham had the initial move, and Graham's got the ground ball.
And isn't it always true, Matt? As soon as you start talking about how great a player's doing, they end up losing a face-off. So big possession here for UNC.
You know, you were a defender. From a defensive standpoint, what's your mindset? How do you continue to kind of keep a team down the way that Hofstra has kept North Carolina down so far this game?
I think you got to build off that trust and that excitement. The hard part here is they haven't played defense in a long time. But I think keeping the excitement high, Jack Concannon is the leader of this defense, keeping the volume going, making sure you're celebrating little plays like your short stick D-Mitty taking the ball away, which was just an excellent check right there by Luke Gomez.
I think Gomez got a little overzealous after he charred the ball loose and threw his body at somebody for a loose ball push.
Coach Tierney didn't agree with that call there. He's pretty upset, but good building on those little plays and staying engaged. That's key.
Cloutier's got the short stick on him. He's got a step. Cloutier goes high.
You don't see Cloutier miss that very often. That underneath move, very hard to slide to that as he's running right along GLE. Keeps his stick high there. I think the defenseman might have done a nice job of just getting a piece of it on the trail check.
So inside 3 minutes left in this first half, Hofstra with a 6-0 advantage over the 9th-ranked team in the country, North Carolina. Cloutier dumps it behind the cage. Here's Matthews. Matthews looking back up top. A straightaway shot right into the helmet of Luke Gomez. Popped up into the air. Everybody trying to locate it on the turf. Comes goal line extended. Cloutier had it for a moment. Knocked loose. Concannon came out of cage to play it. Ball still to the turf. Concannon's trying to sweep it away. And finally, Hofstra clears the ground ball.
That was a scary ground ball. When your goalie's out of the net and the ball's kicking around between 20 feet, especially with Canadians like Cloutier who can pick it up and throw it behind their back into the empty net, that was definitely, I think the defensive coaching staff was holding their breath there, but we're glad to see that ball squirt out to a Hofstra defenseman, and they cleared successfully.
Kevin Understein leads the defensive side of the coaching staff for Hofstra.
Kevin Understein, fierce competitor. I've played against Kevin for years, and one of those guys love to be on his team, hate to play against him. Definitely brings that edge, and you can see that in these Hofstra defensemen throwing their bodies around, playing physically after they make a big play, getting fired up, talking a little smack. It's a swagger that Hofstra's always been known for, and Kevin has certainly brought that to this defense as a player and now as a coach.
As Seth Tierney said, kind of getting lost in the 1-2 start was how well their defense had played, and they've showed up for sure today. Led, of course, by Concannon, and Hofstra will take a timeout, use their second timeout of the half with 1:22 to play, trying to preserve this 6-0 lead and further extend it before the half comes.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more than to put a big goose egg on the scoreboard from your defense. So they've done everything that's been asked of them and more. Kincannon making some huge saves, but hasn't been tested other than 1 or 2 really good looks that UNC's had. Defensively, I think the biggest stat that jumps out is all the shots they've blocked. They've used their bodies, they've used their sticks, they've used their heads, the last one going off a helmet straight up in the air. So they're getting in the shooting lanes, as opposed to, we saw that goal from Ryan Tierney where he shot around the outside of the UNC player's back. Hard for a goalie to see there. So you got to get in the shooting lane, you got to force them to pull that back and go underneath, and then you play solid defense and slide when you have to. And Hofstra has been doing that. UNC has been just a step slow, which Coach Bresci talked about why they look to the zone in the last game.
Is that more a mentality than anything else?
You know, I think it certainly is a big piece of how you practice and how you play defense, but I do think fatigue is an element of this, and they've played, let's face it, the Tar Heels have played a lot of defense this half, so they're only going to get more tired as the game goes on, so it's even harder to get out to that shooting lane. It's even harder to get in that stick lane, but you got to take pride in blocking the ball. That's something that, as a player, you know, if the ball hits you and, you know, you're taking one for the team, you got to feel good about that. If you knock one down with your stick, you feel really good about that, and your goalie is the guy that's patting you on the back saying, thanks, now I don't have to take that rubber in the shin.
That bruise, a little Medal of Honor.
Exactly.
For North Carolina, this is their 4th game in 10 days, starting on the 28th, the win over Mercer, then St. John's, Denver 2 days later, and then 5 days after that, they travel up to Hempstead, Long Island, and take on the Pride.
They've played more games in 10 days than Hofstra's played all season.
Correct, yeah. 70 seconds to go in the first half. Hofstra with it out of the timeout. This is Alderman on the dodge. You wonder if Hofstra kind of just holds for that last series, that last shot. Don't really get into their offense until about 30 seconds left or so.
I was just going to bring that up, Matt. How much do you want to let your offense, who's feeling it right now, keep going, and how much do you want to make sure that that defense still can see that 0 at the end of the half so they feel super good about it going in?
Alderman has a stick jarred loose, but fortuitous bounce for Hofstra. Kavanaugh picks it up off the turf.
Rowlett with that back check, perfectly placed. Stick goes flying.
Here's Giannis on the roll dodge, toe in the crease. Giannis, goal line extended far side, inside 30 seconds to go.
Great defense there by Nathan. Sitting low, V-hold, moving his feet, not holding the player. Excellent job.
Kavanaugh, look right on the crease. Here's McIntosh on the run. Gets it by Pazula.
And McIntosh did not look like he was open there. And I thought Pazula had a beat on the ball, but Pazula kind of froze his feet and jumped. McIntosh kept running, took one more step. We'll see here on the replay. Kavanaugh driving. Just good off-ball movement. Cuts it and is able to keep moving as he catches it. We'll see better in this angle. We watch that crease play. Just simple ball cut, catches it, keeps running away from the net with a little help from a push by the UNC defender. Is pushed down the alley. Pazula's stuck in the same spot as he jumps up to make that save. Gets pushed around him and just pops the goal into an empty net.
So North Carolina stays with the short sticks. And again, it was Graham out there along with Gallagher. Gallagher picks it up. 8 seconds left in the half. Gallagher draws the flag. Gallagher trying to hold on to this thing and let time expire. So Hofstra should begin the third quarter man up. Nice job by Gallagher to finish that out.
And that's what you want to see, is you pick that ball up, just go hard to the rack. You've got 7 seconds, so you're either going to take a good shot on goal or you're going to get a draw flag, and he did exactly that. So Coach Bresci's got a lot to go over with his boys in the locker room here during halftime.
So our score here in Hofstra, the Pride leading North Carolina 7-0 at halftime. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half, but right now we send you back to the LSN Broadcast Center for this Lacrosse Now halftime report. We're back at Hofstra where the Pride have jumped out to a 7-0 lead over North Carolina as we begin the second half. Matt Shortis, Mitch Belial with you. And Mitch, we look over the first half stats. What's jumping out to you?
It's pretty amazing. Obviously, shots are leaning heavily towards Hofstra's favorite time of possession, but it's all based on that face-off stat. 7 for 9 for Hofstra. They've been able to secure 77.777, repeating. I remember my multiplication tables. they've been able to secure so many of those faceoffs. That's been a huge piece. They've just dominated time of possession. They've had the edge in shots. You look at turnovers, you look at ground balls. For ground balls outside of the faceoffs, it's not a huge difference. For turnovers, not a huge difference. Both teams clearing relatively successfully. UNC failed one clear. I think it did result in a Hofstra goal. But overall, pretty even when you look down the line. The biggest difference is the faceoff game.
So if you're North Carolina, what's your game plan going forward into this third quarter? How do you approach specifically the face-off X?
I think you have to find a way to make every ground ball a 50-50 battle, and I would be very surprised if we don't see either a pole or a new face-off man at the X, at least trying to scrap and change it up. We also thought, would Coach Bresci look at making a goalie change? Now, I don't think you weigh the weight of a 7-goal lead directly on the goalie's shoulders, but maybe make a change, fire things up. Doesn't look like he's done that, so it looks like they're going to really focus on changing things at the X to hopefully get a win and maybe get some possession time for their offense. Although they'll start man down.
That's right. There was a penalty right at the end of that first half with Gallagher after winning the faceoff. So Jack Pizzula will stay in goal, and Gallagher essentially won them a faceoff to begin the third quarter. So Hofstra begins man up, a 7-0 advantage, and a minute penalty on a slash. And this offense has been buzzing at times today. We'll see if the half-time break kind of took some of the temperament out of that. Tierney gives it off right side. He returns it.
Yeah, so not what you want if you're North Carolina, come out man down, but at the same time, if you are able to get a stop here, it's a good momentum builder to build off of to get that confidence back for your defense.
This is Alderman. Now Tierney with it. Tierney looking right on the crease. McIntosh drops the level and sends it down.
And McIntosh just working in that crease, finding the seams. He scored his last goal just with a hard ball cut. This one, he comes up, receives the ball, takes a check, absorbs it, and turns to find that goal. So we'll see here as he's working in the crease, catches it, runs away from that checker, gets his hands free, and turns and fires low just off Pizzula's left foot. And nice job finding the seams in that crease. Obviously, with a man advantage, you have a little bit more space to work in there.
So McIntosh has scored the last 2 Hofstra goals, the freshman, and it's an extra man goal for the Pride. How about the job that Tierney did to kind of thread the needle on that pass?
Yeah, great look inside. Nice movement off ball. That makes it that much easier when you catch that ball moving. Your feet are actually working and not just standing still.
Gallagher and Graham to the face-off X. And it's a procedure against North Carolina. And that's what happens, right? You haven't won a face-off, you get a little jumpy, try and anticipate the whistle.
Baseball, they call that the yips, the case of the yips, where you jump, you're a little hitch and you're giddy up, and I think they were trying to get that win. You're trying too hard, you end up losing it anyway.
So Giannis and Hofstra go back to work a minute into this third quarter, an 8-0 advantage for Hofstra. And even though Hofstra has seemingly had North Carolina's number the last couple of years, I don't think anybody would have anticipated this start for the Pride.
No, and
There's a shot on the run, and Pizzula got enough of that just to keep it out.
And that trickled through somehow, but stopped. He used his body to trap that, and now Tar Heels are coming back in transition.
Here's Macri with it. New turf, that one might have, on the older turf, a little bit more worn, that one might go through, but the new turf holds it up.
Those long blades of grass, brand new turf, looking good here. The blue outlining the green field. All lacrosse lines, love seeing that as a lacrosse player. The only lines on the field are men's and women's lacrosse right now.
So rare sight, Cludio and all of North Carolina held off the score sheet in that first half. Here's looking on the run, Cloutier, quick stick and a goal. North Carolina's on the board.
Beautiful alley-oop style feed. And you mentioned Cloutier's 27-game scoring streak now continues. Huge goal for them, both momentum-wise and also just having a senior score that first goal, the leader of your offense. Great job initiating and dodging by Anderson, and just finds Cloutier cutting back pipe. I think that's just a momentary lapse there by the Hofstra defense, allowing him to find that seam on the backside. But great cut, great finish. And if you feed it to the backside to a Canadian, he's going to score that all day.
And he scored his 100th career goal earlier this week against Denver. That scoring streak and he was the most outstanding player of the 2016 NCAA tournament. There's North Carolina hoisted the trophy at the end of the year.
On his game-winning overtime goal. Exciting game. I watched that with my wife from bar in Jersey City. Not where I expected to watch the Final Four from, but it was a great game to watch.
So Hofstra recovers the face-off, and Gallagher continues his impressive play from the face-off X. And sometimes, right, it's just a matchup thing. You wonder how Gallagher, who struggled against Villanova, how he could have such a tough day then and be excelling so much today, sometimes just matchup-wise.
Yeah, but with that face-off X, especially when it's not because these are these aren't ground balls that they're scrapping for. These are clean wins that he's winning to himself. Like you said, a lot of times you just have a guy's number, and once you have that, you keep going back to the same move, or it's like a rock, paper, scissors game, and every time he makes a change, you counter it perfectly. So he's done a really nice job today, and that's been the difference maker in the game so far.
North Carolina turns it over. Giannis intercepted the pass, telegraphed that, and he knew it was coming.
And we talked about the stats and turnovers not being a major element. North Carolina had only had 4 turnovers. One of those had resulted in a goal, but that's a big turnover here. They had just scored a few minutes ago. They want to get their offense in the game. They want to get the momentum going, and to turn it over on a clear, it was really just a lazy pass that was picked off. That's not what you want to see if you're Coach Bresci.
Not only that, but on that defensive possession prior to the turnover, it seemed that North Carolina had Hofstra kind of out of sorts for the first time today.
Yeah, they haven't been able to really get anything going, and anything they have, Jack Concannon's been right there on top of them.
Here's Kavanaugh now to...
Great outlet pass by Pizzula. Sends it a little ahead.
Here comes North Carolina, unsettled situation. Cloutier, tough angle shot, misses wide.
I think Cloutier actually looked for the pass on the backside. He had the one more pass, maybe one too many passes there, and it was just wasn't able to be handled on that backside.
Hofstra had 3 poles sent forward and then couldn't settle the ball down offensively.
And they've got numbers if they push it here. They got a 3-on-2 on the backside, but that long pass from Pizzula to Cloutier doesn't connect.
It was broken up by Tanner Griffin. Griffin now has the ground ball. He's trying to free it loose. Tierney closest to it the other way. North Carolina is able to body up, though, and get possession.
And North Carolina's playing with a sense of urgency they weren't playing with in the first half. You can see it on these ground balls. They're playing body. They're playing physical. They're full out for every ground ball. I don't think they had that sense of urgency. And when you're down 8-1, you need that if you're going to claw back in a game.
I don't think a whole lot had to be said by Coach Bresci at halftime. The team whose only loss this year is to Denver. They were 6-0 coming into the week. I'm sure they don't want to make it back-to-back to end the week.
And during the break, we were talking how even all the teams are in Division I lacrosse. Any given day, any team can win.
North Carolina has won 4 one-goal games, so they're a good case study there.
And that experience, that pays off in the long run. As we get down, if they're able to chip away at this game, having that experience, that big game experience where it's a close game, you're clutching your stick a little too tight, they don't have that. They've been able to play close games and win those close games. So, but the big thing for them is they're going to need to get closer to make that happen down the stretch.
Here's Timmy Kelly on the dodge. Cloutier now. Cloutier catches in, trying to bite his way in. Misses the shot, kicked around in front of the net, and Hofstra's got it. Cleared to Concannon. Hill outlet ahead. His pass a little high as he was looking forward. And Hofstra's trying to just keep this one. Able to get it to Tierney. Hofstra unsettled now. And now Tierney sees that North Carolina catches up, skips a pass over to Giannis. Giannis will step one wide, miss it wide. Tierney's got it on the back door. Back it comes for Giannis. He's moving with some pace now, bounces it over to Tierney, and finally looks like Hofstra might slow it down a tad bit.
And Giannis looked like he wanted to take that shot. I think that was a very smart play by him pulling it out and flipping it out. They had a couple great looks, were able to keep the ball and keep possession smart, pull it out, let your defense get a rest, let your offense get back into what's been working so well for them, which are those midfield dodges and then moving it back to the attack and looking for those skip lanes.
So first line midfield back on for Hofstra, all seniors in Moser, Alderman, and Kavanaugh.
And that senior leadership of the midfield, that's made a big difference today. UNC's first First midfield, all sophomores. So you've seen the initiation come primarily from the attack down with the Tar Heels, but they haven't had it that often. So it becomes a challenge when your attack doesn't even get the ball, and those are the guys that are leading your offense. 2
of those 3 seniors had missed the last 2 games, and Moser hadn't played at all this year.
Certainly appreciating them being back in the lineup today.
Midway through the 3rd quarter, Hofstra an 8-1 advantage, poked away. Giannis able to recover for Hofstra. And this is probably the most settled either side we've seen from a 6-on-6 perspective in the quarter.
Nice job there by Ryan Macri, sticking his stick out one-handed and knocking a piece down. He wasn't able to get the ground ball, but that's what they're going to need to do, is knock down passes, make it difficult for this Hofstra offense to transfer the ball, and really get them on their heels and working.
Shot clock is on now as Giannis, pardon me, has it off a screen from Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh gets it back, shovels a shot behind him, and he beats Pazula.
Channeling his inner Lyle Thompson, the backhanded, just when you get above GLE, reaching around that goalie and flicking it with the wrists. That's one of the hardest things as a defenseman. When that happens, there's really no great way to defend that. You feel like you're in good position. He had a short stick on him, so it was a little bit of a unique situation there. Here we see a save earlier, but as he comes around the net, he does a nice job of getting his stick upfield, protecting that stick, and then it's really difficult for a goalie to track that because you don't know where that release point is when he's just flicking his wrist at the end. And then defensively, you're in good position, your body's on it, but his hands are so far in front of you, they're getting a good look. The Canadian players say the stick has eyes. That means you might not be able to see the goal, but the head of the stick can, and when you point that towards the back of the net, the ball's going in every time.
As a defenseman, there's almost no way to anticipate that shot, right?
Right, you just have to be better on, you have to be further upfield and in the gloves checking down right away, and that can be very difficult, especially as we saw there, it was a short stick against Kavanaugh.
Ellis scoops it up for the Pride. Mark Ellis, a graduate student, first year with Hofstra, transferring over from Stony Brook, where he got his undergraduate degree and played in the game earlier this week, scored his first goal of the year against his old team.
Yeah, it's always good to stick it to your old team. You know, you never know what the terms are of a transfer or departure, but you always want to have success when you go back and play. It's kind of like going in front of an old girlfriend. You want to show up with another pretty girl on your side.
6.5 to play in this 3rd quarter. 9-1, Hofstra's leading North Carolina. Skip pass over Giannis. McIntyre rocks one top shelf.
That skip pass was a thing of beauty. Full speed dodge by Alderman down the alley. Pulls that across his body as he's running full speed, and Tierney just catch and release full speed. See a good hard dodge down the alley, but look at how he pulls his body all the way across. To have that vision and to execute that at full speed, it's a great job. Now defensively, that's on Carolina to have their sticks up in that lanes, and I think, Matt, what that comes back to is they're just getting tired. They're playing so much defense. They're trying to cover up inside. They're ready to slide, but their sticks are going down just an inch or two, and those passes are getting through. Coach Tierney talked about that height, that length. How do you combat that? You get them tired, you make them work really hard, and those long sticks start feeling a lot smaller when they're on their knees or they're on their waist and they're not up in the air.
Again, fourth game in about 10 days for North Carolina. Only their 2nd road game of the year. The other one was to Johns Hopkins, and in transition, North Carolina is able to break through.
And that's what they needed right there. If they're going to get anything going, they need to start pushing in transition. Their settled offense hasn't really produced results. They've had a couple looks in transition that haven't ended up in good shots. But here, we just have a classic fast break. Great job pushing it downfield by Kyle Matthey. He moves it over, and just that's what you want from your point man. You want your point man to be ready to catch it and shoot right away. And he does an excellent job there with Matt. That was Matt Cunningham, a senior from Exeter, New Hampshire.
Cunningham capitalizes off a North Carolina face-off win, which have been few and far between at times today.
It looks like they've put Cunningham in there for Timmy Kelly, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Timmy Kelly coming out of the box running some midfield here. He's originally a midfielder. They had moved him into attack. Maybe they're looking to get a little bit of a different look here as their offense has been stagnant.
Riley Graham wins back-to-back faceoffs for the first time today, and maybe North Carolina's got a little something going now. Here's Cloutier. When you trail like you did it, like North Carolina did at halftime, what is the mentality? How do you come out of the locker room with the right mindset, trying to fight off a large deficit like that?
I think you talk to any coach, and you can only do it one goal at a time. This isn't the MLL where you have a 2-point line. So it's sticking to the plan and chipping away. And I think especially when you're not getting a lot of possessions, it can be really hard to do that, because when you do get the ball in your stick or you see it in transition, you want to really push, but you got to stick to the plan and do what's been working for you, which if you're number 9 in the country, there's things that have been working for you offensively.
Well, Cloutier chased away by a double team. They find Cunningham inverted at X. They let him be undefended behind the cage.
And Cunningham has a short stick, so he gets back there and demands the ball. He wants to challenge that short stick matchup there.
One longer possessions that North Carolina has had in this second half. Trippy with a swim move. Trippy looks right on the crease. The ball gets through, and that looked like a pass kept alive for the moment, and then Hofstra's got the ground ball.
Trippy looking for Brian Cannon in there. He was open for a half second, but great job of the Hofstra defense collapsing down.
Concannon finding Ellis all the way near midfield, and Hofstra will step it into the box.
And Ellis has done a really nice job of pushing transition here this quarter.
Ellis being harassed by Cannon, and then he's tripped up after the shot, or after the ball got dislodged, and a man-up chance coming for the Pride.
Right as I say that, Ellis tries to go to the rack, takes 2 guys on. Now, maybe ill-advised, but hey, he draws a penalty, and now Hofstra will go man up. Every time that Hofstra has an extra man opportunity, it's a good thing, because they're taking time off the clock, they're keeping that possession. It's almost like a freebie for a team with a lead when you give them an extra man opportunity.
Yeah, pretty clear cross-check against Ryan Macri, 2-year captain.
And I brought up Timmy Kelly possibly running to the midfield. It looks like he's on the sideline. He's being tended to. He's got some ice on his ankle. So that switch of Cunningham in attack, that might have been injury-based as opposed to a strategic move there.
Yeah, he's got the helmet off. He's sitting down behind the North Carolina bench.
And if you're North Carolina trying to mount a comeback, having one of your best players injured is not what you want to see.
Tierney looking right on the doorstep. Kavanaugh unable to hold on to it. And then North Carolina's a little trouble getting this away, as Pazula slow to get up after that hit. Hofstra continuing to pressure on the ride.
Yeah, Pazula, he definitely took a licking. He was limping back into his net. And Eric Wentz is causing havoc over there. It's Eric Wentz versus the Tar Heels right now. He took that ball all the way from over here by the UNC sideline, kept it in bounds, checked it away, brought it to the middle, brought it all the way to the far corner. He's been all over the field, and now he's going to get back and play defense. So look for him to try to take a break here before the ball comes over half.
He's created a couple turnovers today, and Pazula, meanwhile, seems to keep checking on his left flank. We'll keep an eye on him. 3:13 to go. Cloutier challenging and putting one in for his second of the day.
Nothing drawn up about that. That's just beating your one-on-one matchup. That's a senior who does not want to lose this game, and who's saying, hey, follow me, I'm going to get us there. You see him do a good job. He recognizes he's got a short stick on him, what we call an S dodge. You use your body, you go underneath the goal line extended, wait till that defenseman overcommits, and then you use your body to almost get around him, protect your stick, gets in front, and then takes that extra step around Concannon to just drop the ball in. Again, if you're a good attackman, you're an inside finisher against a short stick, if you're able to protect your stick for that initial check, that's almost a guaranteed goal unless that slide comes to you.
So Riley Graham and Gallagher square up for the face-off. Graham has won 2 straight for North Carolina here in this third quarter. And maybe he's figured something out. He's got one more.
Yeah, I don't know if they were watching film in between the half, but he is, like you said, he's figured out the formula for success, and that's crucial. To mount a comeback, they've got a lot of work to do still.
Here's Cloutier wide open. Pardon me, make it Cunningham. North Carolina has scored 3 unanswered goals.
And Cunningham, coming in for the injured Timmy Kelly, has made his presence felt right away. Nothing to it. They just didn't get matched. Hofstra just didn't get matched up there, and they left Cunningham wide open. So maybe they didn't have the right scouting report on Cunningham with expecting Kelly to be in there. But just left him open as they maybe focus a little bit too much on getting to their matchups. I think they've been sending that short stick down to Cloutier, so as they were doing that, they left Cunningham wide open on the backside, catches it and finishes it, and now it's a 6-goal game. So chipping away, but they got to keep getting possessions.
So Cunningham and Cloutier have combined for all 4 North Carolina goals. Scored his first goal earlier this season in the win over Lafayette. Gallagher wins the face-off for Hofstra. As Ellis evades one check.
Roll it with a big over the head check there. Really only can throw that when you're 20, 30 yards away from the goal. You throw that on the goal line, you throw that in tight, that can be a dangerous play.
Under 2.5 to play in the third quarter. Hofstra with the advantage, but North Carolina, as we've talked about, is chipping away at this pride advantage.
And I don't think they've adjusted a ton. They've just been able to get the ball on offense, and that has been the difference. Offensively, I think Cloutier has taken a lot on his shoulders, and then, as we mentioned, Cunningham with 2 goals has stepped up when he's needed to, but hasn't been like they've really gotten into subtle looks and found the gaps. They've won one-on-one matchups or taken advantage when they have mismatches and scored 4 goals, but they got to get stops on defense, and they got to keep getting the ball to their offense, because right now their attack is leading them.
Hofstra, knowing that their defense has been playing a bit down the other end, they slow it down offensively here.
Yeah, look for Hofstra to extend all their possessions for the rest of the game. They only have about 17 minutes left in this game. They might as well take every minute of every possession they have here to tick that clock down.
Shot clock is on. Giannis comes around the crease. Giannis cuts inside, and we're going to get a ward on Giannis.
Working a little 2-man game, and Giannis is, we're going to get a flag on the play. I think Giannis rolled that ball as he rolled that ball to the corner as he heard about the penalty, or I'm sorry, the turnover. Was not happy, and the ref is going to call him there for a delay game.
Yeah, Saturni's letting him know about it too. Giannis, that is.
Yeah, it's one of the tough ones. You know, you're emotional. You don't feel like it. You think you're just dropping the ball, but you throw it back 3 or 4 yards, and it's such a discretionary call. We talked about the shot clock being discretionary. That's one of those discretionary calls. The ref has to feel like you intentionally rolled the ball further or didn't just put it down out of your stick. He felt like there, hey, that was Giannis definitely did that out of frustration or was trying to delay the game, and that's why he threw the flag there.
Jordan Prisco is on, part of the man-up unit for UNC. Inside a minute to play now in the third quarter, as the Tar Heels trying to charge forward into the fourth. Cloutier up top for Matthews. Cloutier gets it back. He lets it fly, blocked by a defender. Cloutier recovers the ground ball, though.
That was Eric Wentz. Big body, 6'4", 200 pounds. Put all that body in front of that. Hit him right square in the midsection.
Penalties released. We're back to 6-on-6. 33 seconds to go in the quarter.
You can see Wentz is still double. I think that might have hit him in the groin there. He was holding himself either right in the belly or just below it. But
yeah, the official calls time to allow him to get off the field.
I don't know if I've seen that in a game where a shot that you're still up and standing, where a ref blows the whistle and lets you get off like that. Typically, they tell you to either run off or you have to drop down. I haven't seen that where they stop the play, but I guess as a male, seeing a male get struck like that, that's a respect thing.
And I guess the officials figured penalty was over. There was no instant threat from the North Carolina side. Here's Tanner Cook. Cook trying to go between 2 defenders, sandwiched as he lets a shot go, and a late flag is going to come out. Concannon had made the stop, but North Carolina is going to go back man up.
And he got squished between 2 guys as he was going down. I think it would have been a legal check, but he fell. The Hofstra defenseman slid over and came up high. I was surprised the flag didn't come out right away. I think the ref might have been trying to get it out of his pocket, but great job supporting. Unfortunately, just came up a little high as he double-teamed that. And Tanner Cook, he's not a small guy, 6'3", 220 pounds. So if you're hitting him high, that means that you're actually getting him high. He's a big body.
Mitch Kingsley, the guilty party, and North Carolina is going to hold it and just stay man up to begin the fourth quarter. So Hofstra still with the advantage, but North Carolina makes a little bit of noise. At the end of the third quarter, it's Hofstra 10, North Carolina 4. We'll be back in a moment from Hempstead. Back at Hofstra as we begin the fourth quarter. North Carolina has scored the game's last 3 goals, and they are man up. 30 seconds remaining on the extra man advantage for the Tar Heels. They charge right to left here. Cook looking right on the doorstep. Cunningham kick saved by Concannon.
What a save. Cook was celebrating, I think, before that ball even went in. That's a wide open, reaches around the goalie, and he had him beat, but great job by Concannon just sticking out that big left foot and kicking that one away. Huge save by Concannon. That could be a difference maker in a game.
I don't think you can blame Cunningham for starting the celebration when that leaves his stick.
No, that's a goal you dream about as an attackman, just right there on the doorstep, 1-0 with a goalie, put that at home, and Concannon with a kick save and a beauty.
That's why he has been Hofstra's ultimate security blanket for the last 3 years. From a defensive side of things, when things break down, he can make you a couple highlight saves a game.
And that's been a huge difference, because the bottom line is the defense hasn't broken down very often, and the few times they have, he's been there. So having that 1-2 punch of a really strong, well-coached defense by Kevin Understein, and then a goalie who's going to bail you out when you do make mistakes, that is what you want, and that's how you win championships.
And so often when you talk to coaches, they always say about the goalie, you know, they make the saves you expect them to make, but if they can make a couple of those that you wouldn't expect a game, it tilts things in your favor.
Absolutely. Those are the bonus possessions that come back to win games for you. When one, they don't score, and 2, you often get the ball back and then are able to go and take a look at the other end. So Concannon making a big difference today.
Here's Kavanaugh. You made the point at the end of the third quarter. How do you find the right balance of an offense when you've got a lead, trying to keep the pressure on and trying to run some time as well? And here it is, McIntosh with the hat trick as Hofstra goes on top 11-4.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have fed that into McIntosh if I was an offensive player, but that trust level that Giannis had there with McIntosh, he saw something that I didn't, because McIntosh has been so sneaky on that crease. His man had looked to slide. He finds that little seam, follows the slide. I thought he was covered up. Good job by the backside defenseman as that 2-slide, but he finds the little seam, does a great job handling inside, and then puts it 5-hole and is able to notch another one.
So Dylan McIntosh had 2 points in 3 games coming into today. He's got a hat trick this afternoon against the Tar Heels. And Hofstra extends their lead to 11-4. Gallagher and Graham out for Hofstra and North Carolina respectively. Graham won 3 out of those faceoffs towards the end of the third quarter, wins one here, but then is checked away from him. Gallagher's got it off the turf.
Gallagher's got some speed. He's got wheels. Every time he's picked up the ball, he's been 2 or 3 steps ahead of the player chasing him.
That one trickled away from him, but Hofstra was able to recover. Giannis has it, and a timeout taken by Seth Tierney. Giannis is looking back at the bench saying, "What are you doing?"
I think Giannis wanted to shoot that anyway. He beat the double over the head check, had a wide open look. They had a 4-on-2 going in front of the cage, but sometimes, you know what? It's okay. Let's settle it down. Take your time. You can see Tierney talking to him. Hey, keep your head up. We'll get your chances. You'll get a couple more looks later on.
Well, celebrate St. Patrick's Day weekend with Lax Sports Network and the Blue Devils. Third-ranked Duke will play 2 games over the holiday weekend, and the only place to see them both is Lax Sports Network. First, on March 17th, the Blue Devils take on the Towson Tigers at noon, and then on March 18th, they travel north for a matchup with Cleveland State's Vikings at 1 o'clock. 2 days, 2 games featuring one of the nation's premier programs. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend on LSN.
Matt, looking back at this, looking at the stats here, Hofstra has scored in so many different ways. I think that really is a sign of good things to come. And talking like we did earlier about how last year they started so strong and then petered out. This year they started a little shaky. Now, if they're able to seal this out for a win, huge win here, I think having the ability to score from different places on the field, from different players, is so important as you go down the stretch. Because again, the injury bug, that will hit at some point. there's going to be times when certain guys just are out of it and aren't playing as well. So having the ability to do things in different spots, use guys in different ways, that's something that Coach Tierney's got to be really excited about coming away from this game, no matter what happens for the next 12 minutes.
And when they were at their best throughout that 11-0 stretch last year to begin the season, that's what they had going for them. There were 6 guys on the field. They might not have had the kind of go-to guy that some teams do, but you never quite knew who could take the team on their shoulders at any given point. And a scrum for it. Pazula's on the turf, and we're going to have a loose ball push against Hofstra, so North Carolina will have it. So North Carolina has their work cut out for them. They trail 11-4, 12 minutes left in this one.
Talked about Will McBride doing big things against St. John's there. He challenged a little bit, drove in. Didn't like what he saw, pull it out smart, let your offense get on. Try to get into some kind of rhythm here. They haven't had a true settled offense where every offensive player has touched the ball. And I know they're going to want to try to do that, but they also got to keep things moving because they have such short time to make up a 7-goal deficit.
Here is Cloutier. He's kind of been leading the charge for them to try and make up that deficit. Cunningham calling for it. Clear pass, Cunningham, and the save made by Kincannon. Another great stop by the Hofstra netminder.
Same spot. He shot that opposite side. Kincannon stayed right with it, used his knee to block that. Great save. Good look there by Cloutier. I thought one of the Hofstra defensemen had his stick in the lane, jumped up and tried to miss it, but nice look there by Cloutier to find that skip lane, and that's one that Cunningham is going to want to have another shot at throughout this game.
And obviously you played on the defensive side of the ball. When you have a goaltender making saves like that, that's got to pump up the confidence even more.
Not only that, but you can stretch out a little bit further. You can be a little slower to slide, and when you don't have to slide, it's a lot easier. So you conserve a little bit of energy that you can then expend to chase guys around on the perimeter. So it's all cyclical. It helps to drive the confidence drives the aggression drives the defense feeling confident, and so it continues to build on itself.
And to further build on that, can you sense when offensive players start getting frustrated because the goalie's kind of making these real solid saves?
Absolutely. And I think that's something you feed on as a defenseman, and maybe it's a sick obsession, but when you feel that the offense getting frustrated, you can really start to chisel away at that, and it gets you even more excited to play good defense.
Here's Alderman's got a step on a defender. Alderman couldn't quite get the shot off, but the ground ball is picked up by North Carolina.
I don't know if anyone knew who had that ground ball. There was 4 guys looking up in the air, and that was
Halpert got it for the Tar Heels.
Jack Halpert finds some open space.
Tough job handling this pass. Tanner Griffin there for Hofstra, and then Cloutier scoops it up off the turf. Inside, 10 minutes to play from Sherwood Stadium at Hofstra. The Pride with an 11-4 advantage over North Carolina.
And UNC had 7 guys on the field right there. They just poor substitution up top. I wasn't sure if the ref was going to catch it, but he looked around, saw 4 guys in front of him, looked back, saw that there were 3 attackmen down there, and he knew that something was up.
Sometimes when things aren't going your way, they're not going your way.
Yeah, this is certainly been nowhere one area where you can hang it on the Tar Heels that they haven't performed well. It's been a little bit of everything chipping away. They haven't been able to get anything going offensively. Defensively, they're playing okay, but they're giving up the looks that Hofstra wants to get, and then they're not getting saves where on the other end Canada's making those saves. So all those things are adding up, and those add up to a 7-goal deficit, which again, that starts to become a little bit scary, and because you can only score 1 goal at a game, 1 goal at a time, it really can hurt your morale as you try to chip away.
Freshman Bryce Tolmie getting some burn here late.
Coach Tierney talked about Tolmie being a contributor in the future for this team. So
yeah, they have a few freshmen in kind of key roles. McIntosh was one of them, and now we'll have a moving screen on Giannis. Tolmie, and then Dom Pryor, local kid out of Setauket, played high school in Ward Melville.
And these are the kinds of games, if you can get your freshmen in against the number 9 team in the country with the confidence that they're still going to perform well, that's huge moving down the line. Getting them that big game experience, having them play against guys like Cloutier and Rowlett and different guys on the field that are some of the best players in the country, getting that confidence up and that game time experience, that pays dividends as you head into the tournament for the conference and then eventually for the NCAAs.
Well, Cunningham remains out on the field for North Carolina. This is Andy Matthews. Matthews skipping a pass up top for Perry. William Perry's had some late game heroics this year. Game-winning goal versus Lehigh and a game winner against St. John's with just 6.8 seconds left. Here's Cunningham dragging a shot, going low. Another stop by Kincannon. Perry there trying to scoop it to himself for North Carolina, and then moving the pile for Hofstra is Luke Gomez. And a ball got by Kincannon, but looked like we got a timeout prior to that by Coach Bresci.
Cloutier somehow scooped that ground ball out. Here we see.
Last save here by Kincannon.
So you asked about defensively, do you feel like you've gotten under the skin of the offense? I think goalies absolutely feel that when they have a shooter's number. And Cunningham scored 2 goals in the beginning of the third quarter, but since that time, 3 saves by Kincannon on wide open looks for Cunningham. You see him right there. I think he is feeling like he can track that ball in Cunningham's stick, read his mechanics, and get to the ball before it gets by him every time. And that confidence, when your goalie has that kind of confidence, that's a scary thing, especially when he's a goalie like Kincannon.
Kincannon, as good as a goalie as he is, probably was central to the low point of Hofstra's season a year ago. Anybody who follows the conference and was following Hofstra's season knows the way that their year ended in the CAA semifinals with that buzzer-beating goal by UMass, and everybody's guard was kind of down for Hofstra. And we were talking to Coach Tierney about that earlier this week, and Coach Tierney said, I basically put my arm around him and I said, you know, you can't really shoulder the burden for that. That wasn't just on you, it was all of us. And, you know, obviously he's been able to put that behind him, so to speak.
Yeah, and we asked him, you know, is this bulletin board material, do you use that? And he said, no, you know, this is a new group. It is what it is. Everyone who was there, they remember it. Jack Kincannon certainly is always going to remember that. But I think the most telling thing that Coach Tierney said was, you know, I put my arm around him, I told him I love him. And that's the kind of thing that if you're playing for a program where the coach says that and you actually genuinely believe that, that's when you're going to start to see what we're seeing today, where the defense all gels as a unit and teams talk about family, but you can really feel that from this Hofstra unit, that they really believe that coach trusts them and loves them, and that's a huge piece in not just developing lacrosse players, but developing young men, and that's what these coaches are trying to do.
Here's Perry at X. North Carolina trying to find a little offensive spark. They found it towards the end of the third. Perry's shot denied by Osman.
Osman soaked that one off the back of the head. So if they have some kind of block shot award, there is going to be a lot of contenders for that award at the end of this game.
Ellis feeds it across. McIntosh's shot deflected on the way, and Pizzula saw that one easily.
They got numbers here for the Tar Heels as they push in transition. This is where you do need to push a little bit. You're down by so many goals with such little time. You need to score about a goal a minute here to bring this within range. So while they do want to get their offense on, their offense hasn't been that successful in settled situations. So let's take some chances. Let's push the ball in transition, see what we can do.
There's Cloutier with a short stick matchup. He feeds it off to Cook. Tanner Cook, 14 goals on the season, feeding back up top for Cloutier. Now Perry with it. Perry, goal line extended, underhand shot going wide.
Classic mom goal. Hear the moms
yeah.
cheering on the sideline. It's outside the net, just on the outside of the pipe. Kincannon knows. He felt like I had that pipe covered. I was good.
Got me a moment until I saw Kincannon's reaction.
Change that to a Matt goal then. We won't call it a mom goal.
Under 5.5 to play. Hofstra with an 11-4 advantage. There's been only 1 goal scored in the fourth quarter after we had 7 combined in the third.
And Matt, this is where things get tough, because if you're North Carolina, we talked about them being fatigued towards the end of this game and this long run they've gone on. Now they need to get the ball back, but they're going against an offense that's already having success, so you got to press out. So this is where seams open up, and this is how games can get out of control, and your players just get even more tired. So it'll be interesting to see how much they really press here, or do they accept their fate and just try to play the best defense they can and build for the next game they have coming up, which is not too far down the road.
Skip pass to the near side. Cavanaugh winds up and goes upper right corner. Brendan Kavanaugh with a laser. 12-4, Hofstra leads.
Good to see Kavanaugh get on the score sheet. For I guess that's his second goal, but having him back off that injury as a senior, you know, that's a big piece of this, is having that senior leadership and guys that not only come back and lead your team, but guys that actually contribute. And now we have Alderman's limping a little bit as he walks off the field. See Alderman, hard dodge. Oh, and it looks like he just took a weird step. Wasn't anything, non-contact as Alderman feeds that, but same thing, that pull pass across his body, feeds it over, but scary moment. Hopefully it's just a twisted ankle and he'll be good to go for the next game up for the Pride.
Well, I'm sure Seth Tierney doesn't want to see that. He's been the lone first-line midfielder who's been able to be on the field for all 4 games so far.
Yeah, and it's always scary when you see a non-contact injury and training staff attending to him. Hopefully they'll be looking at his ankle and not his knee.
Gallagher had the initial face-off for Hofstra, and now just a pile of humanity tumbling over itself. North Carolina finally comes out of it. Ground ball to William McBride. We've said his name a few times today.
And UNC's got to go to the cage here. They're down 8 goals. Cloutier's done most of it himself with a little help from Cunningham. But he's been the go-to guy every time. Everything is circled around him starting. He's been matched up by a short stick. So they've really relied on him heavily. They're going to have to get production from their midfield if they want to have success down the line. Everything has been attack initiated so far in this game.
And what do you think of the strategy where they've had a short stick on him much of the game?
Well, it's worked.
There's a shot up high. Sean Morris puts one by Kincannon.
And this is the look that the UNC has been really trying to exploit, are these skip passes, and Kincannon's been on all of them. Morris was just in too tight there. Beats Kincannon up high. That's the first high-to-high shot I think I've seen this game from UNC. They've kept everything low towards the corners, and in this example, they skip it through, keeps it nice and high-to-high, and Kincannon guesses low, starts going low, dips down, and beats him high. So trying to change the planes, the only problem is it might be a little bit too little too late here for UNC.
North Carolina's had that spot on the field much of this 4th quarter. Just Kincannon's been able to make the stops when he's needed to.
Yeah, you bring that up. That shot just up into Kincannon's right has been where a lot of those shots have come, and they've all been low, and that one changes planes, and they finally get him with one. But we talked about a key to the game for the Tar Heels was beating Kincannon early. First goal was not until the 3rd quarter.
Hofstra's been solid up the middle. When you look at the face-off X, when you look at the goals between Gallagher and Kincannon, those, if you were doing 3 hockey stars, they would definitely be 2 of them.
And Alderman's still on the sideline. Looks like they're wrapping up his hamstring, so maybe tweak the hammy there. They've got ice on his legs. That's good to see. At least, you know, hopefully he'll be back in not too long, but always better that it's a little tweak of a muscle as opposed to anything on the joints.
Don Pryor comes in his place on the midfield line. He's seen a lot of play through the first 3 games. Here comes North Carolina. Cole Haverty. Haverty bounces a shot. Kincannon stuck with it and kept it out of the net.
Will McBride with a great takeaway trail check, pushes that up to his teammate in transition, and then an absolutely phenomenal save there by Kincannon. Again, dropping low. If I'm the UNC offensive coaches, I'm saying, hey, guys, we got to shoot high. That's the only thing that's worked so far, at least in these last couple tries.
2 and change to go in this one. And Pryor sent to the ground. Pryor trying to collect the ground ball from the ground. And what a difference a couple of weeks makes, Mitch. 2 weeks ago, the finish on Saturday. Here's a drive from Rowlett, who gets by Kincannon.
That's Rowlett's 3rd goal of the season. He's not afraid to push it. I don't know if you could hear it, but I could hear from outside, high, 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 as he's running down the field. So someone from the UNC coaching staff is screaming at Rowlett to shoot high as he's running down. So he was heeding our advice. He saw the same thing we saw. Rowlett doesn't listen, but puts it just tucks it in the corner, is able to score. A nice goal in transition there.
And as Mitch said, his 3rd of the year. He's a member of the US U19 World Championship team in 2016. So a much more representative second half for North Carolina. All 6 of their goals coming in the second half. UNC's got it. Cloutier sends it wide.
Nice little flip pass there. I like that. Picked it up off the carpet. Was in a compromised position. If you brought it back to his shoulder, flips it over to Cloutier. You don't see Cloutier miss from in that tight, and he kept it low to low. Kincannon so good low. He's got almost that butterfly style, like you talked hockey. He drops down, keeps his feet by the pipes, and drops his knees to the middle. He was able to deflect that one wide. Cloutier gotta change plans on that. Go high to low, or he started low, go up top, and again, coaching staff saying shoot high. We gotta shoot high on this guy. He's saving everything down low.
As I started to say a moment ago, you look at the turnaround in 2 weeks. 2 Saturdays ago, after the Villanova game, Hofstra 0-2. People are kind of wondering what's going on. They get a midweek win against North Carolina, against Stony Brook, and then they have to sit for a week and a half because the Georgetown game got postponed, and they come out today, long rest, but a big win, looks like it, against North Carolina. They're back to 2-2, and they're probably opening some eyes back up again. Yeah,
and Coach, get a ton of credit to Coach Tierney for staying the course and understanding. He said, I considered just throwing everything out the window offensively. Let's go back to square one and start fresh. But we said, no, you know what? We're going to get our guys back that are injured. They're going to come back. We're going to stick to what's going to work for us, and we're going to build for the future. And luckily for him, they got a couple guys back sooner than they expected with Kavanaugh and with Mosier back. So having those guys back in, puzzle pieces fit right back in what they're trying to do, and here they are having a very successful day offensively and doing it with a lot of different people in a lot of different spots. That's what you want to see.
There's Perry shot off of Lynch, and the ball caroms all the way out past midfield.
Another block shot for the Pride.
There's been a ton of them today. Ball's kicked around towards the end line, and it's going to be Hofstra ball.
Yeah, that was a nice job by Carolina to keep that rolling. Rowlett tried to pick that one up, kicked it a little too far ahead, and wasn't able to handle it running full speed towards the end line. And now they're going to have to play. Hofstra's going to have to play keep away as these giant UNC Tar Heel poles are thrown over the heads. And this is, if you're a kid and you like takeaway checks, this is where you're going to pick some up right now.
So North Carolina, this kind of finishes out that stretch of 4 games in 10 days, but it doesn't get any easier from here. Of course, they go to Richmond in a few days, and then they'll take on Maryland at home in about 2 weeks' time.
Huge matchup today between Maryland and Denver. It's going to be an exciting game.
And then from Hofstra's standpoint, they enter the real busy part of their schedule. On Tuesday, they'll have Monmouth, then next Saturday they head up to Providence, a game we'll have here on Lac Sports Network, and 3 days after that, it's home to Lehigh.
And you look at a team like Monmouth, and they're giving some of these top 20 teams everything they can handle. They played Princeton to a double overtime game earlier this year, so those are no slouch games this year. Every single team can compete on any given night, and on a Wednesday night at 6 p.m., you got to bring your A game. So the good news is they've had a lot of great building moments in this game today and feel really good about their defense and their offense heading into later in this week for game number 5.
So if Hofstra showed any rust from a long layoff, it was short-lived. They jumped out on North Carolina, led 7-0 at halftime, and they knock off the Tar Heels by a final score of 12-6.